Hey, Soul Warriors. Ever feel like your emotions are running the show? What if we told you that your knee-jerk reactions aren't set in stone? In today's episode, we're diving into the fascinating world of feelings, how they shape us, define us, and yes, how we can reshape them.
So I want to sing feelings.
Nothing
more than feelings.
I won't sing because I'm horrible at it, but
I'm not that great either.
Yeah, that's the song that came into my head too. So this is our second in the series. This was based on the Dream of Gaia Tarot. I hope I'm saying that right. The first one, we will link it below. We talked about seeking and got all into that. So now we're moving on to step 2, feelings. And nobody likes when feelings are the boss of them or the boss of other people. We all know that person that's going to like flip out on a dime or be super passive aggressive, or maybe that's us. Never, ever fun.
I know that for me, feelings have always been this elusive thing, if you will. A lot of my friends used to say, why don't you just show some emotion or things like that? Because I don't let situations run amok. I know that I am in control of my reactions. I know that I'm in control of what I say. I know that I'm in control of what I need to do in certain situations. So I don't get all crazy in emotions or anything like that when it comes to feelings. Do I get sad? Yes. Am I happy? Yes. I express all those when they come. I just don't do it over the top. And I guess for my friends back in the day, it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough. They always kept saying, you're always just like so like very neutral. And I'm like, no, I'm happy. I'm happy. I don't have to be jumping off of something just to express that I'm happy.
I think you learned to be that way because of your dangerous upbringing.
Yeah, but even then we had moments where it was about, having fun and laughing, and like I've said before, like the holidays were like the most awesome experiences growing up, even though it was crazy the other times. But yeah, I mean, I know how to express that. It's just that I didn't have to be over the top about it.
Yeah. I grew up with a parent that was like just kind of disconnected and disconnected, I guess is the best word. And then another parent that when it got too much would get passive aggressive. And everybody was learned from both to stuff feelings. We either don't acknowledge them or we wait till they spill out. And other family members who would do the freak out occasionally when the emotions were too much to deal with or the feelings were too much to deal with. So actually, let's differentiate between emotions and feelings. Yeah. First of all, Emotions come first. If everybody's doing, what comes first, chicken or the egg, or they're the same thing, they're not the same thing. Emotions come first. An emotion is something that happens in your body. It's a sense, like when you see somebody you really like, or you see something that somebody's being mean to somebody and it's really pissing you off, and a chemical reaction automatically happens in your body. That's where it starts. Then the mind gets to jump in. The mind, the ego, they jump in and they start assigning meaning. And those are the feelings that you feel. So you might start getting like some anxiety, and then your mind's applying it to, it's because you didn't do that well enough, or you're behind, or you're not good enough, or like all the things that the mind starts assigning. And then you're going down the rabbit hole. So what happens is the subconscious is this amazing thing, but the subconscious is like the well-worn path when you get to the woods. And you're like, oh, look, traveled 1,000,000 times. It's the easiest path. It's comfortable. It's familiar. I know it. And we just keep going down over and over again. So this is why the anxiety keeps coming up, or the anger keeps coming up, or the, being lovesick over the next one that comes along. Or not getting lovesick over one because you were hurt by the last one and you're still remembering that and playing that song. So this is what you talk about all the time, or what you think about all the time. And just falling into that well-worn path. That is called the comfort zone, and that is a form of safety for us. Yeah, it's a little pitfall.
Yeah. So is most of my life I've been angry because of my upbringing. So is that an emotion or a feeling?
When something triggers the emotion of not safe, that reminds you of your childhood,
Yeah.
that's the emotion that comes up. The feeling applied to
So-
that is anger.
Oh, so the emotion is not feeling safe, and the anger is the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Or fear, like, which is not feeling safe.
Yeah.
Some level of fear. And then anger is the outburst of it because your mom was very outbursty.
Mhm.
So that's a learned thing that if
Yeah.
I get bigger and badder, I can protect myself
Yeah.
because whoever's bigger and badder is the aggressor, not the victim.
Now I think I've learned to control that anger because it could be possibly because my mother was so like outward in her anger, and where I'm more internal with my anger. I don't lash out or anything like that, but if I ever do, it's questionable.
Right.
Because it could get downright dangerous because I have so much, because I've held it in for so long. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's my brother too. He'll like see red. He'll go from the kindest,
Yeah.
most helpful, awesome human being to seeing red if something
when-
triggers that bad.
When I cross that line, is just I don't see anything. I'm in reaction mode. Like if I see danger, I don't see it as danger. I beeline it to it, especially if it's triggered my anger.
That's actually a reaction to fear. So there is fear happening. It's just your reaction to fear. Same thing with like fawn, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. So if you like freeze up when somebody's like being mean to you and you're not holding a healthy boundary or speaking up for yourself, it's simply your nervous system reaction.
Yeah.
If you're going into fawn where you start people pleasing because you can, just work around things to try to keep the peace. I'm really good at that. It's your nervous system being dysregulated. So as soon as those hormones flood through, depending on what they are, if they're like the lovesick thing, it might be really fun and feel really good. If they're the anger thing, it might not feel good, or it might at the same time, because you know how to defend yourself with the anger and you know how to feel safe with the anger.
Right. So how do we use our emotions for good, if you will?
So emotions are going to happen. That's the first thing. They're a natural part of us. The key, you always say this, get curious,
Yeah.
because you want to self-reflect on them. You don't want to just like, I don't want to be angry, or I don't want to be confrontational. I don't want to fill in the blank. So you like stuff it, ignore it, distract yourself from it, hide from it. We're going to stop running from it, and we're going to get curious about it. And we're going to start winding down on the layers like you have about, okay,
Right.
It stems from my mom. Because at first it was just like, I'm angry all the time. And then it was like peeling back all the layers as to why. And I've done that like with my people pleasing and my perfectionism and all that stuff. And I keep saying and that's one thing I want to put out there that really helped me shift this. But I just fell back into that subconscious, the groove of it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. If we can shift our language to, I'm feeling anxiety running through me. I'm feeling anger bubbling up in me. We're acknowledging that it's there. We're not ignoring it. We're not shoving it down. I'm acknowledging it. I'm getting curious about it. Okay, why am I anxious right now? Why am I angry? What's going on? What's triggering me? It puts a little distance between us and the thing. And instead of identifying as what the thing is, like a lot of people, my depression, my anxiety, it's part of your identity. And that's just, that groove, that path. It's just like beating down that path more and more. So your subconscious, when you get to the feeling part of it, it's like, oh, we got this. We're going that way. It's like a big sign, like enter here. And then you go down the loop of your spiral of.
Yeah. I learned a long time ago to shift that kind of language. Instead of my everything, it's more of the experiencing this or experiencing that, or I'm curious about this or that. It kind of puts me in that pause that we always talk about, because then I'm able to assess myself very quickly. Why did that trigger me? Why do I feel like I need to react this way? Why do I need to say this certain thing? Is it going to serve anything in the process or anything like that? So I start to ask myself all these questions before I even respond or react or anything really to that, because first of all, I get curious, and then I start to ask myself a lot of questions. Doesn't always work for people, that way. So find your groove, however that works for you. But definitely, if you take a moment to pause when something is really triggering you, that's the best form of kind of assessing and assisting yourself in the process.
I want to give you a quick message before we get back to this episode. Unlock the secrets of your soul for free with Soul Notes. Say goodbye to feeling stuck and hello to the validation of your alignment. These weekly prompts are filled with reminders, gentle nudges, and sometimes a kick in the ass, all with love from your soul. Don't just take our word for it. Try Soul Notes for yourself and see the difference it can make in your life. Trust us, your soul and you will thank you. Just go to soulnote.org. That's SOULNOTE.org. Now back to our podcast. Yeah, and if you don't push back on it, like, oh, here's anxiety again. It's like, oh, okay, here's anxiety. Awesome. It's here. It's here for a reason. Okay, body, what do you need right now? What can I do to assist this so it doesn't have to become this whole thing where at the end of the day we're frustrated and didn't get everything we wanted done because we froze up or we distracted ourselves or, whatever it is. What do you need right now, body? And if you don't know, if you're not hearing the body response, always keep asking it and tell it, I'm recognizing you're going through something. I'm here for you. Let's go walk. Or let's do some sort of nervous system regulation. Let's breathe. Let's snap, snap, clap. We've talked about that in another video where you're activating both sides of your brain. Let's put some binaural beats in our ears. So we're again activating and calming down our nervous system. There's a lot of things you can do, but once you talk to your body, hopefully you'll start learning what it needs and it can cue you in. Like, where am I feeling this anger? Where am I feeling this anxiety? And how can I work on that? How can I send love to those parts? And also acknowledging the ego, the mind, all the things that are acting up, that you feel like they're acting up and they're causing you this anxiety. They're not causing it for you. They're attempting to protect you and they're doing the best they can to keep you safe. So like talking to them, but like, oh, I see you. Thank you. You're doing a phenomenal job. I've got this. I'm calling in my spiritual team. I'm calling in my sovereign higher self. And I'm going to tap back into who I know I am and that I'm okay in this moment right now. And I'm going to make this choice instead of that one. And it's just simply doing that over and over again. It's like you're wearing a new path. So you're, instead of taking that big sign head that said, enter here and we're going to death spiral into our depression or, act up into our anger. I'm going to go that way this time. And when you revisit it, you might not be able to find where you even entered the dense woods at that point because you've only been once or twice or 3 times. It takes a long time to wear the path through. Yeah. And some days you just want it to be easier. So you'll just take that well-worn path. But as you keep practicing this, as you catch yourself, as you question yourself, as you love on yourself, as you make a different choice. Like I know I always go and I play a video game or I always go and I binge Netflix when I'm feeling like this. And is that serving me? No, because I always end up doing that. And then I always end up at the end of the day, angry, frustrated, whatever the feeling is that you end up with. Yeah. So I'm going to make a different choice.
So it seems like self-awareness is key here.
Absolutely.
Because, when you were talking, I'm like, okay, well, let's kick into real life. When situations occur in life, like, am I really going to go into that namaste mode? You know what I'm saying? Like real time shit that might happen. And how you must be asking yourself, like, how do I do that? How do I put myself, catch my emotions, catch the feelings, catch the reaction? When you're self-aware, you know exactly what triggers you. You know exactly what deliberate moves or words you're going to use. It's being in that present moment when you feel, because for me, I feel it in my gut. The minute I start to feel something, I feel it right in my gut. And then I get this radiant inner heat. So I know something just got triggered.
Yep. And that's the flood of all the neurotoxins or the endorphins, like whatever it is flooding through your system.
Exactly. So we know when something is about to happen or when something has triggered us. So it's about being aware of your body, being aware of what you're thinking, being aware of what particular emotion is coming through now and what is the feeling and the reaction you want to have towards that. Mm-hmm. It's, because it's hard. I mean, just recently you were mentioning to me that you were walking and somebody drove it through a puddle and all that stuff and wet you, and you had picked up a rock or something like that earlier that time in your walk, and I'm like, and I'm thinking, I'm listening to her and I'm thinking, it's like, I would have thrown that fucking rock at the car. She's a better person than me. Because that would have been my first reaction. You know what I'm saying? But she found the grace and all that stuff. And I probably would have thought about it.
I thought about it. I just didn't do it.
Exactly. I probably would have thought about it and not have done it now, being who I am now. But back in the day, I probably would have thrown that rock real quick.
And mind you, this SUV like purposely swerved at the puddle. So it was just like, it was a dick move.
And that's the thing that I'm talking about, like real life stuff. It's like all of a sudden it's like, okay, they're probably saying like, all right, we're going to just like start talking to ourselves and pausing and all these things. When all this shit is happening and all that, it's like, how do I react to something real time for real situations? And my advice to you would be is, self-awareness, when something's got you going. Mm-hmm. So it's like, then jump into getting curious, because this can happen instantly. It isn't that you have to go into meditation and it's like, let me table that for right now. Yeah. You can't say that in most situations, So it's like, it just happens instantly. And practice that. When you know yourself so deeply, when something's got you going.
Yeah. And it won't be perfect. Like maybe you're starting to like hack through the weeds and all the branches to forge that new path. And you get like this far in and you're like, F this, like this is too hard, blah, 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 blah. And you come back out and go back on that path. That's okay. Because now your brain at least has a choice of a little bit of start of a path. So each time it gets a little bit easier. And when it doesn't happen, or you have zero awareness and you just go 0 to 60, that's okay too. Because now you can self-reflect after the fact. You have a full cycle to look at. So you can be like, oh, okay, that's when the emotion bubbled up. I got that feeling. That's when it started to radiate. Okay, there's the emotion. That's my window to catch it really at the very beginning. But if not, here's the feeling. Here's the thoughts I'm assigning to this. And I'm going down that path. So the thing is if you stay in the comfort zone as your safety, you will keep having the same things happen over and over again. You will have the wrong partner. You will have zeros not zeros after a bunch of other numbers in your bank account, zeros in your bank account. Mm-hmm. You will not be able to find the right job. You'll just keep recreating until you can shift out of that pattern. And the reason being is because the comfort zone, you're saying like, there's not enough money. I know an example of us when we had a business deal that fell through. I'm like, okay, I've calculated out on how much we spend each month. And by January, we're going to be out of money. And then 6 months later, we were still okay. Because I'd been doing a lot of work on my money mindset and picking different choices and saying different things to me and not telling certain stories. So things started to fall in line. Now, in the past, I end up with a lot of money and then I end up with none and looping back and back because it's a story that I've told for a long time based on what I've learned growing up. So when you get brave enough, there's another form of safety for you. And that's the place where you've created a space where it's safe enough for you to expand and be different and be more. And that leads, I think, to the next thing in the series is grow. So we'll get more into that. But saying, I am safe in this moment. Like, okay, I got wet on my walk. The guy was a jerk, whatever. I started laughing, actually. I'm like, oh, I've been baptized, like trying to turn it into a joke. The thing with the rock was I had walked by a daycare that had put out a kindness tree and all the little kids painted their names and and painted the rocks, and it said to take one and leave it somewhere else to spread kindness throughout the community. So I was walking with this rock, and I had the little girl's name on it, and I was saying her name, and I was talking to her and, you know, telling her, you know, thank you for gifting me with this, and I will definitely spread it out in the world, and, you know, and I wish you courage, and I wish you a voice, and I wish you this and that, and like I just feeding energy and love into this stone, out to that little human, and to whoever picks this stone up next. And that's when I got splashed.
That's like the universe going real time. Let's see how well
Let's see how well you did. And I was like,
are you really expressing kindness?
I was like, really? Okay. But then I'm like, am I going to throw the rock that I just put all this loving energy and turn it in? Like, no, no. Because I already knew where I wanted to leave it, and I was really close to that spot. So I just went right back to the stone, you know, brushed off what I could, and just kept, it was hot out, so I guess it was nice cool off. It felt fine. And put the rock, placed it where I wanted to place it.
And it comes down to choices also, you know, the self-awareness, the choices. You know, I know a lot of people who just like blow up and say a lot of things they don't want to say or didn't mean to say. And then they find themselves at the end of this situation feeling like crap, you know, self-loathing, the whole thing, that the chatter in their mind can be, you know, out of control. So if you can catch yourself, you know, right from the gate, or even close to the middle, just don't get to the end result where you're feeling like crap because you shouldn't have gone there. That would be the best bet, because it doesn't feel good, and the emotions that run through you are epic during those moments, you know. So you want to regulate that as much as you can, so that you can be more proactive in situations versus reactive. And that's the best part of it.
And when you do go all the way through the cycle, it's like, okay, that's all right. This is my work. Forgive yourself. Do your best not to beat yourself up, and just use it as this is a self-reflection moment. And I want to leave you with, I want you to be willing to prove yourself wrong. We all like to be right, myself included. And so like when you say, you know, all bosses are assholes, or all men are jerks and I can't find a good one, or I never have enough money. When you say that over and over again, it's triggering to your brain that that's your belief. And we always want to be right, because right keeps us safe, we think. So be willing as you're going through the process to prove yourself wrong. Like, I don't have to blow up anymore, because I'm not that person. That's some old piece of me. That's not who I am. I'm releasing that. I want to do this instead. And I'm going to keep practicing until that groove and that path is so well worn in my brain that that is my new subconscious pattern. That's the new feeling that is automatically chosen every time that emotion triggers within me.
All right. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be kind.
Peace.